evening, everyone, including our guest today, because this is a public meeting, but it is being conducted virtually. I ask that everyone respect the process and refrain from speaking, interrupting, or otherwise disrupting the meeting. And it is important to keep your mics off while you're not talking. If you need to get attention, just raise your hand, and one of us can identify that you as a speaker who needs to be unmic or have your mic turned on. You can also, once you're recognized, unmute your mic yourself. In addition, since this is a virtual meeting, the prayer and pledge of allegiance will be waived. Madam Clerk, if we could have the roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Forbes.
Present.
Councilmember Bench. Your mic in.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Present.
Councilmember Scherzer.
Present.
Councilmember Millen. Councilmember Millen. Okay, must be absent. Councilmember Balls.
Present.
Councilmember Ostash.
Present.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
We have 8 members present, 1 absent. I'm in the middle of the council meeting. I'm sorry, Mayor, that was Councilmember Millen calling in. He's having trouble connecting.
Okay.
So,
Well, when he gets in, we'll hopefully
yes,
be able to recognize him at that time. If you see him come in, just say something. We'll recognize him.
yes.
Then are there announcements, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mayor, I do have some. I'd like everyone to be aware that ballots for the November 3rd election are now available in the city clerk's office during regular business hours. Also, absentee ballots were mailed out last week. Please allow enough time for your ballot in the mail to arrive before you contact the clerk's office. So give it a good week or so, get your ballot and return it as soon as possible. Also, the city's waste convenience station is open to city residents the second Saturday of the month from 8 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock noon. City residents may dispose of items that are not picked up at curbside, such as your construction materials, excluding the shingles. Also accepted are recycling items of glass, plastic, and paper. The next collection day will be Saturday, October 10th. And with that, Mayor, it takes us to a proclamation.
All right.
We have one tonight that is designating October 4th through the 10th of 2020 as Fire Prevention Week.
And today, that was Councilmember Milne had agreed to do that. Is he on yet? He may not be. Would someone else care to do so in his absence? Any council member? Well, I might have to try and pull that up myself then. We definitely want Chief Ruth to, or Chief Van Loo to hear this.
Mayor, I pulled it up if you want me to read it.
Why don't you go ahead if you have it handy?
Okay.
I am here.
Oh, then, John, are you ready to read the proclamation?
It's upstairs. Quick. Give me 2 seconds. I had to change rooms for my.
Okay, be quick. This is.
Hello, all.
Is that John
Technical
again?
Problem.
All right, go ahead if you can read the proclamation. And Chief Van Loo, I definitely don't want to get your name on.
My assistant is gathering the paperwork as we speak. Thank you for your indulgence all. Let me refer to the proper page. I have it. Mr.
Right
Mayor,
ahead.
would you like me to proceed?
Yes, please.
City of Saginaw proclamation. Whereas the City of Saginaw is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city, members of the Saginaw Fire Department are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, according to the National Fire Protection Association, statistics show that 4 out of 5 fire deaths occur in the home. And whereas cooking is the leading cause of fires in the United States, and whereas 2 out of every 5 home fires start in the kitchen, with 31% of those fires resulting from unattended cooking. And whereas the National Fire Protection Association has established Fire Prevention Week to create greater awareness and innovation in fire protection and in prevention. As a result, countless lives have been saved each year. And whereas the 2020 Fire Prevention Week theme, Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen, effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Floyd Clark, Mayor of the City of Saginaw, do hereby proclaim the week of October 4th to 10th, 2020 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the City of Saginaw, and I urge all residents of this city to protect their homes and families by heeding the important safety messages of Fire Prevention Week 2020 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the City of Saginaw Fire Department. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Saginaw to be affixed this 28th day of September in the year of our Lord 2020. Floyd Clark, Mayor. Councilpersons, Brenda F. Moore, Mayor Pro Tem, Michael D. Balls, Annie Bench, John Millen, Jamie Forbes, Bill Ostash, Autumn L. Scherzer, and Reggie Williams II. Tim Morales, City Manager.
Thank you, Councilmember Milne. Congratulations to the chief. Chief, we'd like, if you have a few words for us, we'd love to give you a chance to speak them at this time.
Okay, well, thank you, Mayor Clark, Mayor Pro Tem Moore, and council members. I appreciate the proclamation. On behalf of the men and women of the Saginaw Fire Department, I like to accept the proclamation. As mentioned, this year's theme is Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen. There's reasons for that. Fires in the kitchen are a significant concern. It's a leading cause of home fires in the United States. According to the National Fire Protection Association, fire departments respond to almost 173,000 cooking fires annually, and 2 out of 5 home fires start in the kitchen, with 31% of those as a result of cooking fires. So what can we do to help prevent that? A couple quick facts I'll point out. Stay in the kitchen when you're cooking, particularly when you're frying. Don't leave anything unattended. Maintain a 3-foot area around all cooking surfaces. Keep anything that can catch fire away from the stove, and never pour water on a grease fire on the stove. Always keep a lid nearby, slide it over the top of it, let the fire die down. Probably one of my most important messages would be to make sure we have working smoke alarms in the home. Every home in the city of Saginaw should have that. And I have I have a story, a very brief story I'll share with you that I think emphasizes that point. Last week, actually September 22nd, about 3 a.m. in the morning, we had a structure fire on North Andre Street, about 3 a.m. I'm happy to report that there were 9 occupants in a home, and all of them escaped safely due to working smoke alarms. There was 3 adults and 6 children who all safely escaped because they heard a smoke alarm sound. Furthermore, I looked into that a little bit further, and it turns out that Saginaw Fire Department installed those smoke alarms back in May of 2014. So it really pounds home the message, the importance of working smoke alarms, and it's a credit to the firefighters and the good work that's done at the Saginaw Fire Department to promote these programs and to help citizens. So thank you.
Mayor Clark, would you turn on your microphone, please?
I didn't have it on for what I just said. I want to repeat it. I think we're very fond of our fire department, and I really want to thank the chief for all your department is doing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Now we are ready. Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. That takes us to public hearings.
All right. The purpose of a public hearing is for the members of the public to address council as a whole and for council to receive information from the speakers for consideration regarding specific action being requested of us. Speakers must limit their remarks to the subject of the public hearing. Please begin by stating your name and your position on the subject of the public hearing. The first speaker will be considered the main presenter or designated representative, and you will be allowed 10 minutes to speak. Other speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Public hearings are not a question and answer session. Therefore, questions must not be directed to individual council members, city staff, or the audience. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Mayor, our first public hearing tonight is regarding the request from 218 Washington LLC for a commercial rehabilitation act tax exempt certification at 218 Washington Avenue.
All right, and do we have someone to present? I would ask for public comments at this time. Yes.
Yes, good evening, Council. This is Eric Tankersley, VP of Finance for Shaheen Development and 218 Washington LLC.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. For the previous 8 years, Shaheen Development has diligently searched for and negotiated with several prospective commercial businesses to consider relocation to the downtown Saginaw area. A major component to these discussions was a commitment to enter into and guarantee a long-term lease, allowing the economic infusion of capital required to revitalize these parcels into a new commercial facility. Specific to this project, 218 Washington LLC, needing to abide by local zoning and planning requirements, will be constructing a 3-story mixed-use building. With the commercial tenant only in need of a single-story office space, we will be incurring the added construction costs of the remaining 2 stories of speculative construction at our expense and with no revenue assurances. Secondly, as part of the lease negotiation and an incentive to bring the tenant to downtown Saginaw, we agreed to pay for the property tax expense against new commercial development customs. The approval of the Commercial Rehabilitation Act tax exemption certificate ensures the commercial development will be an economic success and construction is expected to be completed in the spring of 2021. That's it for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on this subject of this public hearing?
Yes, Mayor Clark, this is Cassie Miller.
Okay, go ahead, Cassie.
Thanks for having me today. I'm here representing Saginaw Future, and I'm speaking in support of the project. At Saginaw Future, we work to bring in new businesses and expand the existing, and of course, work with developers to make projects happen and to make those projects successful. You're all aware of the difficulty that we face in attracting new development in this area where the project is going to be. We're consistently sending available sites and buildings to developers and businesses who reach out to us, but there are a ton of factors that go into making a final location decision for a business. So it can be very difficult to funnel development into the areas that we find most important. One of those being downtown, because a vibrant urban center really is key to the success of the entire county. Shaheen Development understands this, which is why they've invested significantly in the city's core over, the last decades. Even smaller developments such as this one have such an impact and can be catalytic to its surrounding area. The building is the exact type of mixed-use infill projects that I'd like to see replicated at least 10 times throughout the city. The housing piece, which Eric mentioned, is key because in order to have a truly successful downtown, we need to have more people living in it. Unfortunately, because they did add the housing, it's a little bit more risky of a project. The tax freeze will ensure that the apartments are able to be leased at an affordable rate and the building can still have a positive cash flow, ensuring its success. Also, just so you are all aware a little bit of the Commercial Rehabilitation Act process, all of these applications do have to go to the county because they do have the power to deny them. So after today, if this is approved, the resolution will be reviewed at the County Services Committee meeting next week. And Saginaw Future will continue to work with Shaheen Development as we have throughout this process to go to that meeting and share the same information I'm sharing with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Is there anyone else to speak on the topic of the public hearing? For last time, anybody else here to speak on the topic of the public hearing? Hearing none, we would need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'm not sure, Mayor. I'm on the list to speak about one of your ordinances. I'm not sure
No,
if
we are
that.
not.
My name is.
That is public
Okay.
comment. This is on a particular public hearing.
That's what. Okay. Very good. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. I'll ask one more time. Is anyone here to speak on the subject of the public hearing? Hearing none. Again, there is a motion, I believe, by Mayor Pro Tem Moore. Is there a second to the motion to close the public hearing?
Mustache second.
Mustache seconded. Okay. Any discussion on closing the public meeting? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Madam Clerk?
Yes, we have one more public hearing this evening, and it's regarding the 5-year consolidated plan and the annual plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program, Home Investment Partnership, Emergency Shelters Grant, and Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act funds.
Is there anyone here to speak to the topic of this public hearing?
Yes, Mayor, this is Sarah Traxler with McKenna.
Ms. Traxler, go ahead and do your presentation.
Thank you very much. I'm going to share my screen. While I'm getting that up and running, I just wanted to thank City Council for working with my firm McKenna on this project to prepare your 2021 to 2025 consolidated plan and one annual action plan. As I was going through the project files earlier today, I noted that this will be the 4th 5-year plan that we have worked with Saginaw on since the year 2000. So we're thrilled to continue to serve the residents and the elected officials. I understand that time is short, and this is simply an introductory presentation to this 5-year planning process. First, speaking on the planning team and the preliminary schedule, there will be a number of involved groups with whom we are coordinating over the next handful of months, from stakeholders like the people who receive funding from the city for its CDBG and other HUD programs, to the Human Planning Commission, actually with whom we already started meeting, I believe, just a couple of weeks ago. Your planning effort is conducted by the Department of Community and Economic Development. And again, my firm, McKenna, will be supporting the city in this endeavor. We're a community planning and design firm. Our proposed process has 6 events, if you will, through April of 2021. Now, your plan needs to be submitted at the beginning of May, specifically. But we really would like to get this wrapped in March and April, especially these days. We're so unsure of, really what will be thrown our way during a planning process. So, now is the time to really make sure that we're doing this in haste, but not rushing, especially with the public engagement. Very shortly, we'll be meeting with Kana Franklin and her team to kick off the meeting process to receive information about the last 5 years and how the current plan has been holding up and how they've been administering it and kind of working with it. Tonight is the first required public hearing of your city's citizen participation plan. Second, we will plan on conducting in March when we issue the plan in its draft form. In November of 2020, we will conduct 1 day of roundtable discussions, interviews with local agency key stakeholders, and we'll also be conducting phone interviews during the length of the planning process. We'll have a draft review with city staff in January or sometime around then, and then we'll bring the draft plan after it's been kind of aired to the public back to City Council in April. Really briefly, I wanted to share with the participants tonight. I know that Council is familiar with the purpose of your HUD program grant funding. But a consolidated plan is a 5-year plan that's required by each community who receives direct funds from HUD. It coordinates the local use of your funding of your HUD programs, including Community Development Block Grant, CARES Act, or the Coronavirus Dollars, which is abbreviated as CDBG-CV, Home and Emergency Shelter Grant. This is a planning process where we identify specific needs in Saginaw, specific needs of your partners. And then it fosters strategic planning, involves stakeholder engagement, and prioritizes the use of resources, which is important. There are 3 national objectives under these programs, but as you all know, the #1 objective of benefiting low to moderate income households is really the primary objective of these HUD funds. So that is really held up. And then you are allowed to prevent or eliminate slums or blight and address urgent community development needs. We see these funds being used to revitalize neighborhoods, conduct and promote economic development specifically related to job creation, and then provide improved community facilities and services, which is so important in Michigan community, especially where state funding is continually on the decrease. I'm going to briefly go through the objectives and activities of the other programs. CDBG-CV, or the CARES Act funding, had a number of approved activities, and Kana and her team project that you'll continue spending your current allocation and will receive additional allocations. So we'll make sure that your activities support these allowable programs. The purpose of HOME is to create affordable housing for low-income Americans, and this is where you have community housing development organizations, or CHODOs, as partners with whom you directly work. Habitat for Humanity, I believe, is one of your partners. And then you have a small allocation for emergency shelter grants, and that's for homeless and very in need populations, and also can go towards education. So in terms of funding trends, I pulled some figures from the last time we prepared your plan. And this is just to kind of illustrate that other than the emergency shelter grant, Saginaw and entitlement communities in other legacy communities around the country, including in the Midwest and the Rust Belt, are seeing a decline in your HUD funding. So your CDBG funds have decreased over that time period. Your home funds have decreased over that time period. And, we expect that that trend will continue. We'll present more information on that the next time. But the main purpose of this is just to show that, although it's such a necessary resource in your toolbox, your community development toolbox, unfortunately, that pool of money is shrinking. Your consolidated plan will present strategies for the use of the funds, but is not an allocation of the funds. So in other words, it's sort of similar to a master plan outlining projects in the community related to land use, but your CIP is actually just showing how that will be funded, and then your budgeting process makes it specific. So Tina and her team will have to keep on coming back to council every year with specific proposals. So during this planning process, we'll employ very traditional methods of considering and integrating the results of a housing study that we've just wrapped, actually working with Spicer. That housing study will lay the foundation for our consolidated planning activity, and also the city's master plan, which Spicer will be working on with the Planning Commission. I mentioned in November and surrounding months, we'll be conducting the public engagement. We're going to perform additional data gathering and analysis, and then put all of those inputs into a combined location where we can really pull together threads and give you some really effective options for maximizing your resources. I wanted to mention that I understand from the city manager's office that this presentation is available on the city's website for people who would like to look into these fine-grained details in greater amount of detail. What we've done is identified how the city is spending or has spent your funds in the current funding year, 2019 to 2020. One thing I want to highlight is that under your public services funding amount, $355,000 thereabouts, we've actually entered into an agreement with 26 community organizations. So there are a lot of community development groups in Saginaw who are benefiting from this important federal funding that you receive. There's details on the emergency shelter grant, also on your home accomplishments. And then finally, we can update the results of the CARES Act. So one of the most important points of tonight's kind of foundational presentation is to let folks know that the city is opening your funding round this Wednesday, September 30th, for those subrecipient grants. So all the community development partners will receive information from the city and can come to the city's website, saginaw-mi.com/CDBG, to receive the application, which will be uploaded. Here's the contact information for the department, and they will begin evaluating those applications. So just as a reminder, we'll be back in front of City Council in the late winter months of 2021, and we look forward to working with community organizations between now and then. And I don't have anything else. I will stop sharing my screen.
Well, thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right. At this time, is there anyone else to speak or to comment on the subject matter of the 5-year consolidated plan and annual plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program? Anyone else to speak on the topic of this public hearing? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close this public hearing.
Bench moves.
And is there a second?
More seconds.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any opposition? No opposition? It is carried. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we are ready to move on.
Yes, our next order of business is public input.
Thank you. Today we have several speakers, so Madam Clerk, if you'll call them.
Yes, our first speaker today is Mary McCulloch.
Ms. McCulloch?
Yes.
You may proceed now. I would remind you also, before we start, let me remind all public input speakers that I want to welcome you. For those who have signed up, hearing from the citizens we represent is very important to us. We ask that you speak slowly and clearly so we don't miss what you have to say. When called to the podium, let us know if you will be speaking solely for yourself or on behalf of a group. All speakers will have a 3-minute limit, which is timed by the clerk, so be sure to cover your main points first. We ask that your presentation be courteous and respectful to the members of the public attending on SGTV or on the call, and to the council, so we can give serious consideration to your concerns.
Yeah, 2 of them in the car. The other one I brought in.
Well, please, if you're not on them, please mute your mic. All follow-ups will be referred to the city staff. Thank you. Ms. McCullough?
Okay, hi. I am speaking on an ordinance. It is 94.004 regarding animals, birds, and bees. And my concern is man's best friend in the city of Saginaw. I've seen a lot of dogs that are tethered or chained as a primary means of confinement, which I know per this ordinance under H2, it should not be primary. And the question on that I have, though, for the city council members is it doesn't express any length of tethering. They say tethering can be used if an owner is close by to attend to the animal. So that is one of the issues I have. And then also with winter coming, and I have seen in this past summer where dogs have been out in extreme weather, and I've had to call to get assistance due to overheating for chained dogs, that kind of thing. So I'm wondering about regulations as far as housing in extreme weather. There are some areas that make and incorporate that into their ordinance, a policy that in extreme weather, they're not to be kept outside permanently, or if they are, they have a means to get heated. So those are my concerns with and questions about the ordinance. And in the A, under the first line under 94.004, A says no person shall be cruel to any animal or bird, and not providing proper food and water, especially when an animal is tethered or chained and can't get to the water, or housing, and not providing housing for warmth. I would think that would incorporate that meaning of cruelty, and I just want to be sure that I make, I have the right information with your ordinance. So I guess I want clarification, and I am hoping to get some review of length of chain maybe, and having it as a primary means when you don't have a fence, and the housing itself in this extreme weather. That's my concern for our fellow canines in Saginaw, city of Saginaw.
Thank you, Ms. McCullough. This will be referred to the city manager. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Evelyn McGovern.
Ms. McGovern, if you have your mic muted, you can unmute it at this time.
Okay. Hello, my name is Evelyn McGovern. I bring greetings to the city manager, Mr. Mayor, the members of council, and fellow citizens as a resident of the city of Saginaw and a representative of the Saginaw Citizens United for Equity and Justice. I am excited about the city manager's proposal to council to create a new Citizens Police Advisory Commission. I personally feel this is a step in the right direction. If you really want to know what works for Saginaw, I recommend that you ask the residents to help make us feel a part of the process. It's imperative that the city be more engaged with all sectors of the community to avoid distrust and to strengthen the community relationships with the police department. If the city is committed to building a positive relationship with the residents of Saginaw, I hope that the city manager and the members of council please Give the citizens time to consider the new passage of an ordinance to establish the new Citizens Police Advisory Commission. I and many other residents have questions, and we hope we are given an opportunity to meet and express our wishes with the city manager, police chief, and the other individuals in the focus group who worked on developing the commission. I look forward to the city police department and city council building a stronger relationship with our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McGovern. Madam Clerk?
Our next speaker is Brandel Adams.
Mr. Adams, you may unmute your mic now.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, ladies and gentlemen of council, fellow citizens, good evening. My name is Brandel Adams, and I am coming before you this evening representing Saginaw Citizens United for Equity and Justice. Saginaw Citizens United for Equity and Justice is an organization of individuals and organizations working to ensure equity and justice for all citizens of the greater Saginaw area. I come before you today to address the proposed ordinance creating a Citizens Police Advisory Commission, or Sections 12.042. While we agree with the need of such an ordinance and applaud council and the administration for the creation of such an ordinance, we feel that adoption of the ordinance at this time is not in the best interest of the community. There's a great deal of complexity in the ordinance, and we feel that there's not been enough time for the community to read and absorb the many facets of the document. We would respectfully request that council delay adoption of the ordinance until such time as the community has had an opportunity to review and participate in public discussions about this proposed commission. We look forward to an opportunity to participate in such hearings and reviews. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Madam Clerk? Madam Clerk?
Our final speaker is Tony Krasinski.
Mr. Krasinski, you may unmute your mic now. Mr.
Is Tony
Krasinski?
online?
Mr. Krasinski?
Okay. I don't see a fourth one on there, Mayor, so
We may have to proceed.
yes, we will do that. We
Okay.
go on to the remarks of council.
Well, and today I want to remind everyone, all the council members, it's a 3-minute limit, and we begin with Councilmember Balls today. Councilmember Balls.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thank the citizens for coming today to talk about your concerns for the city of Saginaw. I hope that we do take a look at the advisory council, make sure that all the citizens' comments and thoughts are thought about so that we can have a good committee. I'd like to thank the city manager and his staff for the roads in the city of Saginaw. When I first came on city council, every other day I would get a call about how bad the streets are in the city of Saginaw. I have not received a call in the last 2 years about the streets in the city of Saginaw. The only comments I have heard about it is that why they fixing this street, why they fixing that street. I got to go this way, I got to go that way. So, Mr. Manager, I would like to thank you and your staff for doing a fine job. I'm glad you guys found some money to get those streets fixed. I hope you continue to keep them fixed too, because I know that, you know, being in Michigan, they do have a tendency to deteriorate. So thank you very much, Mr. Manager, for that. I'd like to personally thank the Shaheen Development for all the things that they have done in the city of Saginaw and the tri-state area. You know, people can take their money elsewhere and probably get a better bang for their buck. But these guys are like pioneers in the city of Saginaw when it comes to putting their money here, man. They believe in the city of Saginaw. They want to see it grow. And I really want to thank the Shaheen Development for such a fine job they're doing in the city of Saginaw, especially in downtown area. Thank you very much, Mr. Shaheen. Other thing I'd like to mention is the crime in the city of Saginaw. I don't have all the answers, but I do have one answer. If you mentor these kids to grow up to be better citizens, I guarantee you they would do it. But one thing we have to do is we have to engage. I honestly believe that the service that we pay to be here on God's earth is the service that we give to our fellow man to help them out whenever we can. So I will continue to ask my fellow citizens and the people on the city council to continue to serve our citizens. That's the best way to make it happen for everybody. We have some issues with kids growing up with no fathers at home. You know, that's one reason why I've been involved in the Big Brothers and Sisters program for so long. And I noticed that the kids that I do be engaged with, they are productive members of society. They don't get in trouble. You know, they've been doing the right thing. So if you want some proof in the pudding of what happens when you mentor people, I can tell you the Big Brothers program really worked. And when citizens engage other citizens, especially the young adults, they do become better people. So thanks for letting me comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Councilmember Milne.
Thank you, Mayor Clark. I wanted to start out by mentioning last week, myself and other council members and staff had the opportunity to tour the new police firearms training facility. And they have created a first-class facility for all types of police training there. And it is also beginning to be used by other law enforcement agencies we partner with. Police chief mentioned that when Secret Service came in town with President Trump, they were able to use our facility for some last-minute adjustments. So I wanted to thank some of the partners that worked on that. American Excavating helped with the preparation of the range facility, and I'm sorry I don't know the name of the company who helped pour the concrete for the pad, but that was also an assist from a local partner. And it's going to be a good facility for many years to come. I want to mention two upcoming events. One is this Wednesday, September 30th. One of our very active neighborhood associations, the Adams Boulevard Area Neighborhood Association, known as ABANA. They're going to hold their regular monthly meeting at the Thompson Middle School parking lot, but their main event is going to be a Meet the Candidates event during that time. They're going to give all of the 11 city council candidates 5 minutes to present themselves and their positions. I know people are looking for ways to get election information this year, and this will be a rare in-person opportunity with social distancing to see the candidates in person. So I hope people join them there, and I hope the candidates come out and give everyone a chance to meet them. As they said in their flyer, it's to put a face and with the names that you're going to see on the ballot. I saw a news story just this evening I wanted to make people aware of. On October 6th, and I'm sorry I don't have the exact time, Mr. Zach Brannigan and the Great Lakes Basin Land Conservancy, I think that's Saginaw Bay maybe, they're going to hold a cleanup event in the area of 9th and Carlisle in the northeast Saginaw area. And this is an area they helped clean up about a year ago, and they've noticed that it could use some assistance again. This is kind of a special enforcement area that our neighborhood services director, John Stemple, works with regularly with his staff, but illegal dumping has kind of peaked out. I don't know if some of it's related to COVID, that people are looking for somewhere they don't have to see other people. But that event on the 6th of October is something I plan to attend also. And that's my comments. I think that's the beeper.
Thank you. Councilmember Scherzer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to thank public speakers for speaking tonight and expressing your concern. And our city manager and the rest of the staff, as well as the individuals on the committee, will get back with you. I do want to say congratulations to our council member, Jamie Forbes, and the rest of the individuals with the Great Muriel Project. If you did not attend, you missed out. And I was busy this weekend at a sorority conference, so but I was able to see the pictures on social media, and it is phenomenal, absolutely beautiful. So congratulations for that project. I also want to thank our mayor, the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Zeta Omega Zeta chapter here in Saginaw, which I'm the president of, hosted the first virtual state conference. So our mayor brought greetings on behalf of City Council, and I want to thank him personally. 350 Zetas from the state of Michigan were able to see a virtual representation and a little video snippet of myself and some highlights of the city of Saginaw. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for those kind words. In regards to leaders in our community, we lost a great leader this past Wednesday. My sorority sister, Miss Mary Jackson, passed away. She was a retired teacher from the Saginaw Public School District of 44 years, mentor with the READ program, volunteer with the CAN Council, and involved in many organizations as across this community. And we lost a wonderful woman. So my condolences out to the Jackson family. And then lastly, well, not lastly, I also want to mirror Councilman Milne's comments about the 9th and Carlisle dumping. There was a very disturbing video played tonight on WNEM. But I want to say thank you to the Saginaw Basin Land Conservancy for what they're doing to step up to help clean up our community. Your efforts are endless, and we truly appreciate it. Now, lastly, I just want to add, please go out and vote, everybody. It is your voice. It is your right. Don't let it be suppressed. Vote. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next, Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank all of our public speakers. And as repeated before me, everything will be sent to the city manager and we will get a report. First of all, I'd like to do a shout out to all of the city staff and the council people who helped make the census count fabulous. Our numbers, if you've not been watching, our numbers have increased tremendously. And without all of you, it wouldn't have never happened. It was fun. At the end, it got cold. You know, we had our last one today at 6:99. It was raining. The tents the water was on top, and we pushing the water off the top of the tents. But we call that commitment. We call that commitment and service to our community, because with those dollars, those are the dollars that we need to have coming to our city. And I'd just like to thank everyone, especially our city manager, for allowing the staff to help me and Shelton Matthews and other county commissioners and council people, who helped participate. The mayor and his wife had a ball at every event they were at. We now have our own personal megaphone, so we can talk and holler and do all our stuff. So I just wanted to thank the people that helped. I'm winding down. My presidential stay for MML will be ending on Friday. It's not goodbye. It's see them later, because I still will be active, as I hope that my fellow council persons will continue to make their move and their mark in the municipal league as well. Saginaw is now being featured in a lot of articles, and we can only do that if we continue to move forward. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Betch.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I first want to start out by saying congratulations to our clerk and our clerk's office on the substantial grant that they got to implement our election activities. I just want to commend them on the wonderful job that they always do. And we had a chance to sit down with our clerk and hear a little bit about the way the money's going to be spent. And she's just doing some wonderful things. And we're going to have to think forward for our future elections and make sure that she can continue those great things. So they are not like just a one-time grant service that we provide through the clerk's office, but make sure that we have the ability to go forward and make sure that we're staffing our polling locations adequately and making sure that we're compensating everybody as fairly as we possibly can and incentivizing that, because it's a worthwhile way to give back to your community. I also want to thank, congratulate and commend Councilwoman Forbes, Cassie Miller, and our dear Dawn for the wonderful job they did with the mural project this weekend. I had to work and wasn't able to attend, but I got to see pictures, and I did get to make a quick stop down there when the activities were not going on. And I'm just so proud and impressed with the work that went into that, and the talent that was on display down there was just incredible. To our public speakers, specifically Mr. Adams and Evelyn, Ms. McGovern, to be honest with you, I'm torn, and I'm looking forward to the discussion we have on the ordinance later. I'm torn because I am pleased with the work that our city manager and the committee and our staff that they've done. I think this is a wonderful first start, and I think a lot of thought has gone into the process. And I think that there is an urgency to have this put into place. I also feel that it's a living, breathing document. So a lot of the concerns that are being brought forward as the community, gets to understand what the ordinance means and what it is. We can change things. We can change things relatively quickly. We can, take more time to think about it as well after the ordinance is passed. But I'll be honest, I am torn. I don't know how much more delay we can give it. And I do believe that our process might have included more public input than it was allowed, because we are in the middle of a pandemic. And we recognize that we can't use that as an excuse to slow down the important work that the council needs to do. But at the same time, we have to strike that delicate balance, especially with an issue of such import, to make sure that we are getting that community input. So I'm looking forward to hearing comments from the manager and my other colleagues on council, and just kind of figuring out what the best course of action is from there. But we do appreciate you coming forward and the things that you contribute to our community. You guys are wonderful contributors to our community. So thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Forbes.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank my colleagues for their congratulations on the Great Mural Project. Most of all, I'd like to thank my partners on that, which is Dawn Goodrow-Hillier and Cassie Miller. They are just the best co-conspirators. I'm so thankful to have them. So for anyone who didn't get out this weekend to check out the murals in Old Town, please head down there. I particularly want to thank Phil Carwatt and Louis Taylor and Travis Hare from the city. We are so lucky we have wonderful staff, and they did everything they could do to make this go smoothly and be a great event. I'd also like to thank our wonderful primary artists and then all of the folks that came to help the primary artists. So that's Lark Allen, Jeffrey Pelkey, Naisha Clark-Young, Devon Collins, Stephen Hargash, almost all of these artists that worked on the murals, probably more than 20. A vast majority of them are Saginaw County residents, and a vast majority of those are Saginaw City residents. And I think it proves that we have incredible talent in the city, and we need to create more opportunities for them to showcase that talent. We had great musicians and food vendors. We had helps from Saginaw County Parks and Rec. And of course, this is all possible through our grant through Bloomberg Philanthropies and the DDA. So please go down and enjoy it. It will fade over time, but our artists really took that into account, and it's going to fade beautifully. And when it looks rough, then we'll figure out what to do next. So there's time for that. But we're going to get a couple years of beautiful murals down there. So I hope that you get down and enjoy it. I, like Councilwoman Bench, would like to congratulate Clerk Janet Santos and her wonderful staff on their huge accomplishment of this grant. It is just a really big deal, and I could not celebrate more for them. This is going to allow them to expand voter education, support the absentee voter numbers, which are going to be so high this year, and then also just increasing safety at the polls, so everyone should feel safe getting out and voting. This is just a great deal, and so I'm so very thankful that they took the time to apply and to create this wonderful plan that's going to benefit all of our citizens. Through my role with STARS, we just wrapped up 3 census events in collaboration with the city, and just as many census events that we've talked about these past few months, the impact is so humongous. We were able to sign up 45 people through those 3 events, and that's going to bring a grand total of $810,000 over the next 10 years to this community. And I know that the Complete Count Committee is working very hard. They've taken the number of households yet to be counted from 800 to 400 just in the past 2 weeks. So that's a huge effort. And now with the extension, we have a little more time. So please ask your friends and family and your neighbors and make sure that they've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Williams.
Good evening, everyone. My comments will be short. Jamie, great job, and congratulations on the mural project. Mayor Pro Tem, thank you for all of your efforts with the census and everyone who worked with you. I greatly appreciate that. To our speakers tonight, in regards to the Citizens Police Advisory Committee, I would really hope, and I encourage you all to, when you say and use the word community, that word is used in its truest sense, where we don't have just certain members of the community speaking up for the masses. And I would hope that moving forward that the masses are educated on what really is going on, so that we can move forward. And my suggestion is that we do move forward with amendments and clarifications and true transparency, so we can get the ball rolling in that effort. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Ostash.
Thanks. Thanks, Mayor. Just want to thank all of our speakers for coming up tonight again. And also, yes, congratulations to Ms. Forbes and the crew that did the mural project. And if you get a chance, go to the city Facebook page, and I think Riverfront Saginaw, and the drone footage is absolutely amazing to see them from the sky. One comment for Mary, I don't know if you're still on tonight. One of the things you touched on with the animals in the city is you touched on hot and cold temperatures. And you also touched on a few other things that caught my attention, because I do sit on the Animal Shelter Control Board. And I do want to just say that anything that you feel might be necessary to report, I'm going to put this phone number out there for everybody, 989-797-4500. Call it in, and they do have officers that will come out and check the situation. So that is important, and I've used that myself a few times. Councilman Milne mentioned about the new police range that they have built, and I know he was trying to, he was giving a shout out to some of the folks that helped with that. Another one I want to tack onto that is the Wirt Stone Dock. They were a major contributors into a lot of the dirt and stone that was brought in, and to thousands of dollars. So thank you to that company as well, who helped our city put that together. And I just got communication here from Debbie McConian from the Adams Boulevard Association. The event is still on for Wednesday starting at 6:30, but it looks like due to the weather, they're probably going to have to pull it indoors, and they did get okay to do that. So she's asked me to graciously tell everybody that. So prepare to bring your masks, and it looks like it will be in the lunchroom instead. And they're going to be getting some information out that tonight for the community. Also, as I understand, our clerk is still looking for poll workers to come out and help. So please do be, excuse me. Oh, I thought Janet just said something. So yeah, please come out and give a hand. I'm going to be working this year because I'm not running. So I'll be working on Tuesday and late into the night and into Wednesday morning as we get everything tabulated. So any information on that, please just get a hold of our city clerk. Thanks. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. I think it's my turn. I want to reiterate all the accolades given regarding both the census activity and efforts by council members, by staff, by our collaboration with the county and with STARS and everyone else we've been able to work with to get that count up. It's my understanding that all in all, we've raised the count by several hundred people, and that several hundred would translate to several millions of dollars over the next several years, or next 10 years to the city. It also is important because it represents counting for purposes of representation in Congress. We would not want to lose any further representation for the city and county of Saginaw in Congress. So it's very important to have that count as high as possible. I do want to give very special kudos to Mayor Pro Tem Moore for all her efforts in putting together the Census on the Go events and collaboration with STARS and all the work she did. She was at every event and tirelessly contributed to make those things happen. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Moore. I also want to mention the asphalt mural project in brief. I was there, and I would encourage likewise anyone who has not seen those efforts to go down and to figure out a way to see what is there, because the asphalt murals on between Court Street and Fordney I'm sorry, between Michigan and Fordney on Court Street are wonderful and going to really lighten up the city, and will be a great contribution to the talent, to the culture and showcasing of Saginaw. I want to mention two other things. The Saginaw Japan Festival will go virtual this year. It'll be Monday, October 26th to Sunday, November 1st, and it will have virtual tea ceremonies, cultural presentations, cultural performances, live seminars, and multiple activities. If you are at all interested, check it out. There will be publications and press releases regarding that. Finally, the Lee Mansion is going to unveil the completely refurbished stained glass window, the arched stained glass window in the front of the mansion on Tuesday, tomorrow at 11 o'clock at the mansion. I think it's really a sort of a pinnacle of the improvements we've seen to the mansion in the last year and a half. It's really tremendous what has been done, and to see that stained glass window reinstalled and refurbished is going to be really wonderful. So I urge anybody who's interested, including particularly council members, to check it out. Finally, well, I think that's all I have right now. So we are ready to move on.
Yes, Mayor, your next order of business is the reports from the manager.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I would first address one of the comments that Councilmember Balls made about the streets. I really appreciate your comments, because you're right, we did always get complaints about the streets, and now I think I agree with you that a lot of complaints are our streets are too good, so people are speeding. That's the one we hear now. And also, why is this street closed? Because it's being worked on. And I really have to give a lot of credit for all of that work to Phil Carwat and his staff, his engineering staff, his deputy director, Beth London, and Simeon over in the streets department, because they've figured out ways to get that work done, and at a more efficiently and a more cost-effective manner. They're doing a lot of that work in-house, and have trained our staff, and they're doing a great job. And I think you'll continue to see that work throughout the years. They've got the process in place, and they'll keep moving with that. So I'm glad that is being recognized. We did also received some questions about council communication number 9, and I did send clarification about that to council, but I just wanted to mention it during the meeting as well, in case someone didn't see the email, and also if some citizens had questions about that. Council communication 9 is a purchase with Superflight Oil for $17,064. That company is in the area but not located in the city. Michigan Petroleum, the second place bidder, bid $18,000, and that company is located in the city. The question we received was about a local bidding preference. Section 14.36 preference for local bidders states that bid has to be within 5% for the local preference to kick in, and that bid was just outside of that 5%. So we could not do that in that case. Based upon our own ordinance, and we do check that, and purchasing in the departments usually check that as well when the bids come in. So that is something that we're always thinking about and looking at. The Tuscola Alleyway project, you may have seen work going on down there, and that's right next to the abandoned Tuscola Street, which is between the right next to the Dow Event Center parking ramp. Staff and the contractors are currently working on that project, and there may be some limitations we're finding. If some of you saw our design, there may be some limitations with that due to underlying infrastructure that they're finding there. But we're going to keep it as close to design as possible, and we think that will still improve downtown and make for a more walkable and inviting environment. I'm going to repeat a few things here because when you're the last one making comments, that will happen. But I really want to give a lot of congratulations and credit to the Great Mural Project Paint-a-thon team. As you all know, that was grant funded, and we really appreciate the work done by Councilmember Forbes, Cassie Miller, and Dawn Goodrow Hillier, who all worked very hard on the project. A lot of work went into that, and it was a Bloomberg grant, and Bloomberg requires a lot of reporting done to them and a lot of adherence to their rules. So that team had to do a lot of work, and as Councilmember Forbes mentioned, I really appreciate the work that the engineering department and Phil Carwatt and staff did with them on that project as well. And I think it was a good team effort. They got resources from a lot of different places. I think they got lights from the water department, some of the other departments. So appreciate everybody coming together on that. And I also do want to mention the census events. Council did a great job working with those. I really would single out Mayor Pro Tem Moore, who helped us get a grant from the MML. We would not have been able to have all of those events put on by the city without that funding from the MML, and Mayor Pro Tem Moore worked very hard to get that and also ensure that we would continue to get that given the pandemic, because we weren't sure if we would be able to have any of those events. So we appreciate that work, and Councilmember Forbes and Stars have been doing a lot of events as well. So we appreciate all of the work done on planning, and also I will mention the staff members as Vicki Davis and Rachel Hozeska and Matt Shutnick helped to do a lot of planning and coverage of those events and get the word out. And John Stemple and the inspection staff have also done a lot of setup and support for those events. So we appreciate everyone pulling together for those as well. A few council members did talk about the grant for the elections, and it is a very sizable grant, so it's a lot of management by the city clerk, Janet Santos. And I do want to mention that they are ordering 4 ballot drop boxes to be placed throughout the city at various locations. And the intent there is to assist people who cannot vote in person or cannot drive to City Hall to drop off their absentee ballots if they don't want to vote in person. So those locations will be announced by the clerk. We want to confirm that we can get those drop boxes that are being ordered, because I'm sure you're aware that the demand for those is very high this year. But they are being ordered, and we do have tentative placements, but I'll leave that to the clerk for a future announcement. The mayor did mention the Saginaw Japan Week, and I think that's awesome that it's being planned the way that it is. And I know the new director there is doing a great job of putting it all together online. It's a unique time for everyone, and so we appreciate that. And I'll also mention that we are currently in National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th. There are a lot of events that are usually take place, and but they have canceled several, but there are some virtual ones online if you're interested in learning about some of the traditions. I've seen there's a lot of virtual events coming up in October for Dia de los Muertos, and looking at the universities, they're the ones that are typically sponsoring those. So with regard to the CPAC ordinance, I'll wait till we get to that point if there are questions from council or to make comments, but I will mention the same as council member Bench did, that it is difficult to have large group meetings at this time, and we did have an urgency that we believed we needed to move forward here. And the manner by which we did put this together is similar to the other ordinance development that we've had over the years. The time that we did have for input is obviously we have input during the council meetings, every meeting. So that's always available, and I encourage people to sign up to speak, like a few people did this evening. We had the 4 personal appearances scheduled and 3 showed up. It's very difficult during these times to do personal appearances, though I understand that. And it's difficult for people to call in. It's also difficult for our tech staff here to manage all those call-ins, but we're trying to do the best we can to get the input. And I think it's difficult at this time for everyone. So with that, that concludes the management update.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Are there any questions for the manager at this time? Council members, any questions? One more time, any questions? Make sure we have everyone a chance to unmute their mics. All right, hearing none, I think, Madam Clerk, we're prepared to move on.
Thank you, Mayor. Your next order of business is the consent agenda.
The consent agenda has been available at City Hall, on the city website, and on SGTV channel 191. Are there any exceptions to be noted by the clerk at this time? Any exceptions to be noted by the clerk? One more time again, any exceptions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Bench moves.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Milne, I believe, seconded it. Is there any discussion on any of the items in consent agenda? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There are no opposition. It is carried. Madam Clerk, we're ready to move on.
Yes, we are now at board, commission, committee reports.
Are there any reports from council members regarding any boards or commissions? Council members, any reports?
Yeah, I want to report 911 has been meeting. My understanding is that the jail is supposed to be demolition down, and the part of the building where they're in, where 911 is, they're just going to relocate over on McCarty Road in the basement. You have to see the facility. It's not, me and the mayor had a privilege because we sit on that board to go downstairs. It's a nice little cozy area. And my understanding is that they're not going to be over there long, but people don't have to worry. 911 will still be functionable. My other report is from Region 7, which is the Older Workers Program. They have not yet, but they are looking to receive another grant as relates to giving away produce boxes or giving away what we call emergency boxes for COVID virus or COVID during the pandemic. And so as soon as they are available, I have 45 that I give out, that I was giving out. That was fruit and vegetables. And that was every week until last week. And so as soon as they start that back up, I'm going to start a new list and take commodity boxes to homes of our senior citizens. Keep in mind, all of us, one day we're going to get old. And so we need to look out for our elders because they're the ones in the neighborhood that keep us going. Thank you.
All right. Any other reports of boards and commissions by council members? Any other reports? Okay, if there are none, I have one. The City County School Liaison Committee met on Thursday, September 17. A number of things were covered. I gave an update regarding the status of the marijuana ordinance, the distances for the information to the school board, and We also talked about the procedures being in place for the election to protect people from COVID-19 and that masks are required. There was a request whether or not poll workers whether or not students would be able to volunteer for poll workers, and I informed her that as long as they met the age requirements, they would, and that they should contact the clerk's office. There is a process and training so that they are aware of that. Hopefully, Madam Clerk, you will receive some applications from the high school students. It'd be a great education for them and good civic engagement. So I'm hoping that happens. Dr. Roberts did give information about the upcoming bond proposal on the upcoming election, and information about the school the proposal for updating the schools and so on. And so that was a very informative one as well. And I think that's about it that I would have. The next meeting date will be in January, on January 21 of 2021. So anybody who other members, please put that on your calendar. That's all I have. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, that takes us to appointment of board and commission members.
And I think we have two. Are there any exceptions regarding either of those two to be noted by the clerk at this time? Otherwise, we'll do a consent. No exceptions, then I would ask for a motion to approve the two appointments.
So move, or.
Is there a second?
Second, Millen.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Only heard one vote so far.
Aye.
All right. All right. Is there any opposition? Let's hope not, because I'm not hearing anything. All right. No opposition is stated. It is passed. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at ordinance consideration and adoption. We do have one this evening. It's the ordinance to add section 12.042, Citizens Police Advisory Commission of Chapter 12 Boards and Commissions.
Is there a motion to adopt?
Bench moves.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
4 seconds.
Is there a discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Yes, Councilmember Moore. Mayor Pro Tem Moore.
I would add in the comments that the city manager made, as well as some other concerns that I think that all of us have. It's a mixed torn thing, but what I did hear is that we will continue this discussion. And I don't have a problem with going forward as long as we continue the discussion like we talked about this morning, like city manager said, during our January session.
All right. Any other discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposition. The motion passes. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, we are now at resolutions. Our first one this evening is to approve the Commercial Rehabilitation Act tax exemption certificate for 218 South Washington Avenue.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So move, Moore.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded, bench seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Councilman Millen?
Oh, yes, Councilman Millen.
Is Sarah still available?
Don't know.
Sarah is with McKenna and Associates. She's not part of this project.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mark.
Eric.
Eric Ankersley.
Is Eric still with us?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Oh,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry. I'm
Councilmember
sorry.
Millen.
I have confused who's with which project. I have a question for Sarah on the CDBG project. I'm sorry.
Does anyone have any questions for Mark or Eric? I'm sorry, for Eric on the Rehabilitation Act's tax exemption. Any questions? Hearing none, we have a motion to adopt. Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, it is carried. And Madam Clerk?
Our second resolution is to adopt and approve with the Michigan Department of Transportation for the recertification of Dearborn Street for the Act 51 report.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So move.
Is there a second?
Bench second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? I know Councilmember Milne, why don't you go ahead?
No, it's the third one.
The third one. That's right. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm getting confused now. No problem. Is there any discussion further on the motion to adopt? No, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes. Next item.
We have a third resolution, and it's with the Michigan Department of Transportation for the recertification of Salt Street for the Act 51 report.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So move more.
Is there a second?
Second.
Bench seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion on number 3? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, you are now at miscellaneous business.
Is there any other business to be brought before the council?
Mayor,
Councilman Millen.
All right, Councilman Milne.
Yeah, I guess I was expecting something in the way of a resolution on that 5-year consolidated plan, but it appears that was informational.
Okay.
So this question would be for the manager then. Sarah, in presenting that, used the term entitlement community. And my question concerns if there are changes in Saginaw's population after the census, and we are no longer a direct grantee, does our 5-year plan survive any change in census that puts us below any benchmark like 50,000? Do we maintain this entitlement community status, but we simply, it will flow through the Saginaw County at that point?
So Yolanda's on the line too, and she might be able to answer more of the specific questions like that, or we may have to do more research because it's not really something.
Excuse me, Tim.
Here, train. Hold on.
Excuse me. Somebody has their mic on? Is that? Maybe that's Tim that has.
The train is from my office.
Okay. Well, let's wait a couple of seconds. When you're ready, Tim.
I think he's closing a window.
Could be.
Probably still here.
Oh, that's
there are ways, and we've seen communities that if you go under the population for an entitlement community where you can get a variance for that. I believe Jackson might be one of the cities in Michigan that has done that. I'm sure that that's what we'd pursue, but we would work very closely with the HUD representatives in Detroit. We have a good relationship with them, and I'm certain having these types of plans in place would be a benefit for us, and they know we've been updating them. So I think we would keep these plans in place and try to do as much as we can to either get grants that we've applied for, or somehow get a variance to continue to receive entitlement dollars. I guess my view is you're not that different of a community if you have 50,001 citizens versus 49,800. The need doesn't go away. I think Yolanda is still on here.
I am still on here. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and City Manager Matt Morales. Yes, I've been working with Canna Franklin and our community development block grant staff to look at the different options that would be available to the city should the population drop below 50,000. We have been working closely with our HUD representatives out of Detroit. We're hopeful that we will be grandfathered in, similar to what happened in Jackson, as we move forward. We also know the importance of the census events that happen, because that's only helping us to maintain the dollars that we have. So I believe that City Manager Morales is correct. Our 5-year consolidated plan would stay in place, and we continue to work with our HUD representatives to ensure the funding for the city.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I know Mayor Pro Tem, you had your hand up. Go right ahead.
First of all, I'd like to remind all of my fellow council persons that tomorrow kicks off our first virtual Municipal League conference. Okay? And I get to say goodbye, because my year, as I keep telling them, my year terror is over, but it's not been a year terror. It's been a great year. Hopefully, Saginaw, we will stay on the map behind it. But I'd like to do some special congratulations. We have 2 individuals who graduated and completed the first level in the educational process, and they are Michael Balls and Jamie Forbes. Woohoo! I'm so proud of you guys. Theo and Autumn are next. Annie, you're in that crowd too. Floyd is leaving me, but I think that by the time we get back to March, we'll probably have 2 and 3 levels done with our members. And I just wanted to tell my cohorts, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad that you participated. And I truly hope that you believe in MML like I do, because there's money out here, there's education out here. And since we're paying for it, we might as well go get the education. So tomorrow at 9:00, we kick off our first virtual conference. Our attendance is much higher than they thought. We are at what I think is 601. And we only had 800 scheduled for if we were going to Mackinac, which we knew we couldn't go to. But I'm excited that people are now signing up and people want to come. So once again, thank you to my colleagues and continue the good work. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything, by the way? Anybody else? If not, Mayor Pro Tem Moore has given me a great segue into what I wanted to say, and that is to congratulate her and thank her for her year of leadership of the MML. As she said, she's hanging up her gavel, but she's had a very good year as president of the MML. She has brought both our considerable recognition to Saginaw at both the state and national level. Over the past years, she's raised the level of knowledge of her fellow councilman members regarding local government as an important part of state and federal government, and her improved potential for state funding to Saginaw is really also tremendous as a result of her leadership of the MML. So, Brenda, on behalf of myself, council members, staff, thank you for your tremendous leadership and for your service to the city through the MML. The dedication has been outstanding, and I really think it deserves all the accolades in the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, one other segue, and that is, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, the beginning of the MML convention tomorrow, but there are 5 who have registered, and that entitles all council members to participate without further registration or pay or further fees. You should all be registered automatically now. I believe that's correct, Madam President. Is that right? If we register the 5, everybody is?
You get a discount for 5, and the key is that the whole segment is being videoed. So I'm asking them to give me a dish, because I've got to be in, I pre-recorded. So otherwise I would have had to be in 5 or 6 spots at the same time, and it wasn't going to work. So Everything is gonna be, so yeah,
All-
basically that's it.
All 9 council members can participate. So please do take a look at the agenda. Take a look at different sessions that you might be interested in. Learn from what is being presented, and be prepared to recognize Brenda when she passes the gavel on October 1st. Thank you. That's all I have.
I got one more thing.
Go ahead.
Our Jamie Forbes is going to be a facilitator in one of the groups. Jamie is working hard to get her level 2. She is to be commended because she stepped out. And Jamie, I want to thank you because they kept asking me who, and I know a lot of our participants or my fellow people are at work, so I didn't know if they could do it. So thank you so much for reaching out, and thank you for being a facilitator.
Real good. Anybody else? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move for once for the adjournment.
Right. Support. It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.